Have you ever really thought about what sets the price of a hotel room on a long weekend? It's not just some number that a manager pulls out of thin air. Today, we're going to get under the hood and look at the economic engine that's really driving those prices. We're turning that abstract theory into a real, practical tool that any business leader can use. So let's put you in the hot seat. Imagine you're the manager of a gorgeous resort, let's say in Tanjung Lesung. It's peak season, and you're thinking about setting this price for just one night, 5 million rupiah. What's your gut reaction? Is that too high? Is it maybe not high enough?
Okay, now what about this? 1 million rupiah. That huge 80% price difference between these two numbers? Well, that's not random. It is the direct result of a really powerful, constant tug of war that's happening in your market right now. As a manager, your job isn't to be a victim of these forces. It's to understand them and use them.
So here's our game plan for this little deep dive. First, we're going to pinpoint the two big forces at play. Then we'll get inside the customer's head and figure out how they make choices. After that, we'll flip the coin and look at what motivates you, the producer. And finally, we'll bring it all together into a strategic framework that you can actually use. Okay, so what are these big, powerful forces we keep talking about? Well, to really understand any market, you've got to start by identifying the two key players who are in this constant tug of war. In our beach resort example, on one side, you've got demand. These are the tourists, the families who aren't just willing to go on a vacation, but are also able to pay for it. That's a key distinction. On the other side, you've got supply. And that's you, the resort owner, who is both willing and able to offer up those rooms for a certain price. The price of pretty much everything is determined by this constant dance between these two sides. All right, let's zoom in on one side of that equation first, the customer. I mean, if you want to set a price that actually works, you have to get inside their head. You have to understand the logic that they go through when they decide to either click book now or close the tab. The first rule, the golden rule really, is the law of demand. And it's actually super intuitive. It's an inverse relationship. When you, the manager, raise the price, fewer people are going to want to book a room. It's that simple. Now, we do have to assume that everything else stays the same. That's the ceteris paribus part, that fancy Latin phrase economists love, just so we can isolate the pure effect of your pricing decision. So let's make this really concrete. Let's say the Calafia Resort quintuples its price from 1 million to 5 million. We know instinctively that bookings are going to drop, but the real question for you as a manager isn't just knowing that it's going to happen. The real gold is in understanding why, because the why is where you find your threats and your opportunities. So why do they walk away? It really boils down to two very powerful psychological triggers. First up is the income effect. Now, your higher price didn't actually change their salary, but it did shrink their buying power. Relative to the cost of your room, they feel poorer. But the second one, honestly, this is the one that should keep managers up at night, the substitution effect. All of a sudden, that other hotel down the coast in a place like Anye starts to look like an amazing deal. You see, you haven't just lost a sale. You've gift-wrapped a customer and handed them directly to your competitor. And when you take all this predictable human behavior, this feeling poorer and looking for alternatives, and you plot it out on a graph, you always get the same result. With price going up the side and the number of rooms on the bottom, you get this classic downward sloping demand curve. The higher the price, the fewer the takers. Okay, we have thoroughly analyzed the customer. Now, let's flip the script. Let's get back behind your desk and sit in your chair as the manager. What's the logic that drives your decisions as a supplier? The law of supply is really just the beautiful mirror image of demand. This one's a positive relationship. As the market price for a hotel room starts to climb, more and more businesses are willing to make more rooms available. It makes sense, right? When the potential reward gets bigger, you're willing to put in more effort to get it. And what is the one single engine driving this entire law? It's the most powerful motivator in a market economy. And it's simple: profit. A higher price tag translates directly into a fatter potential profit margin on every single room you sell, and that creates a massive incentive to get in the game. And this shows you exactly how that chain reaction plays out in the real world. That 5 million rupiah price, it's not just a number, it's a signal. It's like a giant flashing neon sign over the whole area that screams profit opportunity here. And that signal makes people act. New developers are suddenly motivated to build. Existing hotels start opening up those extra wings they had closed. And what's the end result? The total supply of rooms in the market goes up. So this completely rational, profit-seeking behavior, when you plot it on that same graph, gives you the exact opposite of the demand curve. You get an upward, sloping supply curve. When prices are low, not many people want to bother supplying rooms. When prices are high, everyone wants a piece of the action. Okay, so what have we got? We have customers pulling prices down with their demand curve, and we have producers pushing them up with their supply curve. The real art of being a strategic manager is learning how to operate successfully right where those two powerful forces smash into each other. So this is it. This is your strategic playbook. First, remember your price is a filter. A 5 million rupiah price filters for a totally different customer than a 1 million rupiah one. Who do you want? Second, high prices are a public invitation for competition. That flashing profit sign is visible to everyone, so you better be ready for new players. Third, you have to be obsessed with a substitution threat. Know your anye, know the alternative your customer will jump to. And finally, it all comes together at that magical point, the sweet spot where what customers are willing to pay perfectly matches what you can profitably supply. That's how you win. So we'll leave you with this final question to really chew on. Looking at these powerful forces, is your job as a manager to just be a price taker? To simply react to whatever the market throws at you? Or can you become a price maker, someone who strategically influences these forces to your own advantage? Really? Deeply understanding supply and demand? Well, that's the first and most important step to answering that question for your own business.